Well, hello again to all you fine-ass people once more. My name is Sam and I welcome you to the newest episode of Weird Mind Newsroom, where for another week we are back talking on the array of new releases, trailers and news that this week has to offer. So let's not waste time on these intros standing around, let's get to talking all things media for another week.
You opened my case.
On the first of the new releases of the week, we give the focus to the concept that we have all had these jobs that may seem like the simple and mundane type of ordeal and hope that maybe something exciting may come from this location. But it seems what looks like the most simple of jobs will have some world-threatening consequences hidden below, as we have the release of the new horror comedy based on a novel by the release of Cold Storage. Now, based on a novel by David Cope, the film follows Tea Cake and Naomi, two employees of a self-storage facility that was built over a former military base, whose night shift turns into a nightmare when a government-sealed parasitic fungus escapes from the underground level, which soon leads to the fungus unleashing its mind-controlling, body-bursting mayhem upon everyone. Soon they team up with a weathered bioterror operative to contain the threat before it leads to the extinction of humanity. The reception of the new film seems to be well received, with praise in the performances of the three leads of Campbell, Carrie and Neeson, and for having an appealing humour of a classic B-movie style horror story with a fair bit of decent humour. If you want to check to see what the story was contained, you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. Our next film for this week is giving us more of the focus of the world where it seems so many people are a bit oblivious to the features and concept that has been taking over many lives and destroying the planet, and that's the function of AI, and many would want to see it be taken down a peg and restore humanity back to how it once was. Well, that seems to be what director Gore Verbinski is trying to achieve here, as he's back to bring us an all-new sci-fi horror comedy with good luck, have fun, don't die. The film will tell of a man, it's played by Sam Rockwell, who has come from the future, who holds an LA diner hostages in order to find and locate heroes to help him find and stop a powerful AI from causing a bad future full of controlling power of tech by any means necessary. Reception of this new film seems to be very well received with praise on the performances, with Rockwell receiving the strongest praise, its humor, visuals and narrative about the themes and dangers of tech and AI. And when they join the cause against the bad future, you can catch this film also out now in cinemas. The next of the films is somewhat of a concept that comes few and far between, and is probably one of the two that will come of this year. The other I have no idea on the date over here yet, but it came out last week in the States. But we have a bit of a mockumentary documentary type of project, and it relates to an artist who is all over the recent divisive film's soundtrack, but we are focusing on their planning of a full-fledged concert tour, as it's time for the focus of the Madcap tour for One Charlie XCX with the release of the mockumentary of the moment. The film will follow Charlie. She prepares to plan out her debut arena tour while having to continue the promotion of her successful Brat album, and must find a way to deal with the mounting pressure of the record label with her breakout summer album, and make sure that the new arena tour will go off without a hitch or any dangerous outcomes. Reception on this original idea by the musician is well liked. Some feel it may be a bit lacking for those that are unfamiliar with her work or not going all out in the craziness compared to some other mockumentaries. So it's kind of a liked but sort of mixed to modest reception. But if you want to check it out for yourself, you can catch this new film also out now in cinemas. Our next movie of the week, we're going a bit more international with this project in focus, in the case of delving back into another award season contender, as it looks like we have a job and mission in mind to partake in, as we have the release of the all-new award-nominated film from Brazil with The Secret Agent. Now, set in the late 70s, the plot follows Armando, played by Wagner Moura, a tech teacher who moves from Sao Paulo to Recife during Carnival to escape his violent past and to start over, but will soon discover the city is full of chaos, secrets, and of his neighbors beginning to spy on him. The reception of the new film has seen some very strong critical acclaim with praise in its narrative, performances, its character development, and being seen as one of last year's and this year's best films. If you want to check it out for yourself and see what all the award season buzz is about, you can catch this film also out now in cinemas. And the last of the releases for this week, and the only game title I have a focused look upon, it was time to return to a facility. It looks like it was the modest size at first glance, but as you go deeper and deeper, the more elaborate it becomes, and the more secrets hidden to the world, and questioning how big is this facility. As it's time we grab our grab packs, prepared to hopefully face off against the cause of all these horrors, as with the release of the 5th chapter to the horror title of Poppy Playtime, Broken Things. Now, in this chapter, you will be propelled further into the gruesome depths of the factory with playtime security of Huggy Wuggy and Hot Pursuit. Abandoned by your only allies, you fight for survival gets all the more challenging as you plunge deeper into the depths as that is the domain of the prototype, where shadows whisper and the puppet master who lords over this realm pulls the strings, all the madness, and brings the question if you can stand against this evil and put an end to the whole nightmare. The reception of the 5th chapter seems to be very well received, with the players online who praise it for its lore and storytelling and being a more functional improvement over chapter 4, though there is some streamers, players and users that are a little more mixed to underwhelmed by the title, with issues stemming from the repetitive gameplay, character designs and usage, and some feeling that they are dragging out a little bit too much. But if you want to make your own judgment on this title, the new chapter is available to play now on PC, with the console version releasing some point later this year. And with all that regards, that's all the new releases that we have for this week.
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
So moving the trailers, and it's time to head to a galaxy far, far away for the first one, and in a focus where we have seen the likes of space wizards and the sense of a legacy and the sides of good and evil, we're more focused on this instance with a man known for his legend and living by a code of fellow hunters, and his small precious cargo with some special powerful abilities, who will travel the galaxy to take down all that is evil. As we have the release of the newest trailer for the upcoming newest film, the Star Wars universe, with the Mandalorian and Grogu. Now the film will follow on from the events of Season 3, with the New Republic enlisting Din Djarin and his apprentice Grogu to take on a job following the fall of the Galactic Empire and take down some of the remaining Imperial warlords that still threaten the galaxy, including some areas of the Hutts. Now the likes of this series in particular to me has been one that I can see both the ups and downs to, but mainly in the realm of this series I have enjoyed my time with it all, from the grounded first season, the cameo filled but still entertaining second season, and then the third season may be a little bit hit or miss in its narrative and other elements, but I still enjoyed my time with it. I enjoyed a fair amount of it, and I still have faith this could help fix some of the elements that were a little off from the previous season, and provide that appeal back to once more, and personally I'm excited for it, and this feel could be one big adventure for these two, and hopefully it doesn't feel like an overlong or overstuffed episode of the show. But I guess we'll see how this outcome comes when the film comes its way into cinemas from the 22nd of May. For the one horror title of the week, we have our share of returning to the realm of the classic Hollywood movie monster, where we have seen a variation of different monsters over the years, from Dracula, Frankenstein, the Bride, the Wolfman, and Harvey Weinstein. But in the case, we'll be given a focus on another famous movie monster that has its sense of take on its film scene, all wrapped up in many ways, as Evil Dead Rise director Reed Cronin is back to bring us an all-new trailer for his new take on The Mummy. In the film, we'll see the sudden disappearance of the youngest daughter of a journalist somewhere in the far reaches of the desert without a trace, but suddenly the shattered family is stunned when she reappears 8 years later. However, what should have been a joyful family reunion turns into a true and horrifying nightmare, and they must find a way to figure out what happened to their daughter. I feel if there's anything we are really heading back to more in the focus of the movie monsters as of late, especially with The Mummy. And of course, we've seen the classic Brendan Fraser entries and the disaster with the 2017 one with Tom Cruise, and then we've seen a fair bit of other monsters as of late, and on the way too. I feel like this one is giving more of a look into it all compared to the first teaser. That's like, well, it was cryptic in the teaser one, this one gives more of an idea of what we can expect. And I feel like a case with the possessed child aspect thing does creep me out, and I have good faith with this director after his Evil Dead Rise film was really successful. Though I've heard the studios were a bit more anti about it, and that's the reason why we're getting the fourth Brendan Fraser Mummy movie, but who knows. It will be worth a scare, and I guess we'll see when it rises from its tomb into cinemas from the 17th of April. For the only streaming-based film for this week, we're heading back to the past and seeing the continuing story of a beloved recent series getting a bit of a continuation to where the original story ended. And this time, we asked the question of the series conclusion, with the focus being, what happened to Thomas Shelby? Well, it looks like we may be getting that answer, so we have the release of the official trailer for the upcoming sequel film for Peaky Blinders with the Immortal Man. Now, taking place 7 years after the end of the original series, it sees Tommy Shelby driven back from a self-imposed exile to face his most destructive reckoning yet. With the future of his family and country at stake, Tommy must face his own demons and choose whether to confront his legacy or burn it all to the ground. It's a case that personally I've not seen a lot of this series, but I've seen some bits and pieces over it. But I will say with anything that I've seen over the last few years or so is that this show is proper solid, and I will give the full series a look in due time. But I can see the tone appeal still seems to be there for his upcoming film, and I'm unsure if this is the ending of the series or reports that another season is on the way after all is still a thing, but I guess we'll find out in due time. But I'm sure I will give it a proper look in due time, and it's not too long away from release either, as the film will be getting a limited cinema release from the 6th of March before it drops onto Netflix from the 20th of the same month. As for our only TV series of this week, while we haven't been given plenty of focus of the world in recent weeks about a tall knight and his little squire companion, and the whole dumb conflict going on recently about between them and Breaking Bad fans of them review bombing each other's shows. Firstly, both shows are great, and it seems like the whole thing started by the Breaking Bad side, but I may be wrong. But I just see people need to get a life and some sense of competition that you can still make better over time, but you can still also have multiple shows that have 10 out of 10 ratings. But in this case, we're heading further back in time, the timeline once again, to where we will see the age of the strong rule of a certain family. But in all the chaos, the banners are beginning to burn and the fire and blood beginning to boil. It's time we head back to this conflict again, as we have the release of the first teaser for the third season of the Game of Thrones spin-off of House of the Dragon. Now, the new season will follow on from the end of the second season. We'll see the growing conflict between Rhaena Targaryen and Aegon II Targaryen, as the war and conflict enters a new phase, the growing internal war, with the effects of dragons, armies, and political decisions that will soon shape the future of Westeros. Now, to say the case about the series in particular, I could definitely say the original season had a lot of writing on itself after the outcome of the ending of the original show. It proved its worth, and there was a lot of appeal going into the second season. Now, the fall one was kind of underwhelming in some of the aspects, but there was not really a lot going on. It felt like it was just built to what I hope is a better season here, but it did have some great cinematography, shots, and moments of battles when it does happen at moments. Now, I do have a worry that the current reports of the showrunner and the author of the series has been a bit at conflict with each other since season 2, but hopefully they will be spearhead the series in the right direction for the last 2 seasons, and that the opening of the big battle season is well adapted from the book, but I guess we'll see in due time. While we have no official release date as of yet, we have known the series will be flying on HBO Max sometime in June, but I guess we'll see in due time an official date. And our our final trailer this week, and the only animated of the fair, is seeing us return to the world of the toy box and meeting up with a selection of old pals but very familiar to many of us from when we were younger. But in this instance, it seems to be the concern of a looming threat that could see their sense of playtime about to come to an end and change forever. As after a bit of a wait, we have finally been given our official first look at the official sequel from Pixar with Toy Story 5. Now, this will follow on from the events of the last film, with Woody having left Bonnie to help abandoned toys find new owners with Bo Peep, and has made Jessie the leader of the toys with Buzz as her second in command. But soon the age of the toys may be coming to an end, as Bonnie has now become enamored by her new favorite plaything of a frog-like tablet named Lilypad. Now, it's a case that I've seen the likes of the overabundance of this series is one that I can say if it's going a bit overlong. And sure, these films are classics. The first three are seen as some of the best trilogies of all time, and there's a sense, like myself, that also sees the likes of the fourth film being really great as well. But there is a bit where I wonder what else can they really give a focus to with this series without feeling like this is just adding another unnecessary entries. But it always has a way to turn it around and make it appealing, and the whole toys against tech thing felt like it was the way to go with this series, and personally would be a proper place to end it on. Now, not push reports of more planned entries in this series, but it's a case I love the studio and I am more invested in the follow-up now after seeing the trailer, though I'm already excited for it in particular, and it's not too long from release either, as the battle for tech and toys will be released in the cinemas from the 19th of June. And with all that regards, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
Now for a more quieter week in terms of news, and it's the case that there's a bit of a theme with this week's hodgepodge roundup, as it mainly in two areas of focus, and that's with some casting additions, a possible new project announcement, and some focus on rumors and confirmed release dates and changes to some upcoming projects that will have some appeal to some in many different areas and focus. Let's not dwell on here on speculation, let's get into talking on supposed facts from stories from this week that you may have missed. So we'll start off on the side of the casting additions, and this first one is where a project that I forgot I mentioned about a little while ago was in the process of working, but the likes of the choice has given me a few thoughts, as we have gotten a first of the choices of the planned new Scooby-Doo live-action series that's being made by Netflix, and we seem to possibly have our first confirmed star for the project, and as we have Ghostbusters Afterlife and FNAF 2 actress McKenna Grace being cast in the role of the young Daphne. Now, it's a case that it's already been portrayed of the character previously before in the 2020 Scoop film in the opening part of the film, as was a case of dressing as the character for Halloween with her partner Mason Thames. So she has seen some experience with the characters in the series in particular. Now, this is where I would be a little indifferent with some other opinions on this casting, as to me in some form, I feel to me personally, if we were all new unknowns that had a look and tone to the characters, I would be more inclined to the casting. But I feel it would probably be just an array of known actors and actresses in the role itself, which I'm a bit hit or miss on. If there's a case of anything now for this point, I would hope for a balance of some familiar and some unknowns for the main group for the mystery solving teens and their dog, and some form of not have too much of an issue if the likes of the cast, the original live action films, make cameos in the show in some capacity, and that will turn out well in the process, and also avoid being a mass disaster like that god awful Velma show. And yes, I will get to the season 2 review for it at some point. I don't know when. I just gotta fucking just torture myself watching that show. But as of now, this is the only casting for the series at the moment. I have no word on any other additions, but if I hear anything else about this, I will provide that in a later episode as well. So, as on our second casting of the week, this one is more in the realm of the voice work, and in this case we're talking on a new video game adaptation, as we once again talk about the fast blue hedgehog himself of Sonic with his upcoming 4th movie. Now, we have seen a fair share of characters from the series appear over the movies so far, including the dynamic between the Blue Blur and Eggman, his companions of Tails and Knuckles in the sequel, and the Echidna tribe in the Knuckles TV series, and of course the ultimate life form of Shadow in the 3rd movie. But we do know who is next going off with the mid-credits tease from the 3rd movie, which will see an appearance of Metal Sonic and a whole army of them, and the next edition of the growing group is of course with Amy Rose. And it's been the debate as to who will be portraying the character in the franchise. Well, that all changed as on Wednesday of this week, as was officially announced that actress Kristen Bell will be voicing the pink hammer-wielding hedgehog for the 4th entry. Now, initially, I was thinking that the person they were set to voice her was Anna Kendrick, which was a story and rumor I discussed about in an earlier episode, or in case if I had to choose, I would say her or even Kimiko Glenn from Into the Spider-Verse or Hazbin Hotel for the role. But in all sense of things, this is a casting I do not have the issue with this one, as it's done some voice work in the past, with most of you may be familiar for her voice as the role of Anna in Frozen, so I've seen no issue with this one. I say for those other two, I could see them as other characters in the series, such as Cream the Rabbit, Blaze the Cat, Rouge the Bat, or any other options, but I guess we will see in the series goes on. Now, currently the only one left to be cast in the role of voice is Mel Sonic, unless Schwartz voices him as well, but I'm sure we'll get an idea of this casting by the film's release next March. You know, I remember seeing it delayed to Christmas, but if there's anything, I don't know what the full case and the release date changes, I'll provide that in a later episode as well. Now for the only focus case of some discussion of animated fare, and speaking of the realm of the Spider-Verse, we are taking a visit over to Sony Animation for some news in relation to superheroes and those characters on the wall crawler himself. Over the course of the last few years, we have seen the variations of characters from his rogues gallery, from Morbius, Craven, Madam Web, and of course the most successful in the form of the symbiote Venom, who had a string of a trilogy that may not have been the most well received, but they did make some modest pull at the box office, with Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock taking on this weird but somewhat entertaining bromance between him and the alien symbiote, and from how the trilogy ended, it looks like we may not be the end of that saga. Well, that was before some news dropped on Friday that we may be seeing a return to this character, but this time in the form of a fully animated film project instead, as is confirmed the works, as well as Tom Hardy being involved in some form as like executive producer on the project. And personally, I'm not saying no to this approach, as it's proven that the animated film of Spidey have proven a massive success, and I'm sure an anime take on this popular character could work, and will be done in development alongside those other planned films like the spin-offs focused on Spider-Gwen, Spider-Punk, the Spider-Women, which I think is still happening, and of course the conclusion with Beyond the Spider-Verse for the trilogy. But I feel it could work still seeing a tagline animated version of this character. Now, as things stand, all that's been given as an announcement of the project, and I'm sure if there's any updates on who's helming the project, who we can expect is in the project, it could be told. I'll provide that as well in a later episode. Now, from castings and announcements, the focus of release dates, and the first one is more in the realm of the rumored side, but also the confirmed side of, if that makes sense. As we have the confirmation of a possible release for a new adaptation on a classic horror tale, where one simple mishap will lead to the demise of many. As was announced, the new limited series from Mike Flanagan, based on the Stephen King novel of Carrie, is on the way this year, with a planned release for sometime in October. Now, the audio release of this project, I feel, does make the most sense in timing, as the horror story will fit in the time of the spooky season, so I'm sure it could be an ideal approach, and it will be interesting to see the approach Flanagan makes for this new novel compared to the two previous film adaptations from the mid-70s and the early 2010s. But I guess we will see in due course. I'm sure we will for watching releases around the spooky season. And for the last of the stories and release date news is one that provides a bit of some good news over the likes of some many changes around for the project, and will provide a sense that these heroes will be coming out of the shadows that little bit earlier. As was announced on Friday that the upcoming sequel to the Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem sequel has gotten a new earlier release date, with the title being moved up by a month from September 17th to August 13th, 2027. Now, this title has been moved back and forth on the release date with a follow-up initially several released this year in October, before all the crazy messy shakeups at the studio of Paramount that saw this get delayed by next year, and the whole change about of other turtle-based projects like the new family-friendly live-action one that's coming out a year later, and the planned Last Ronin adaptation that's still in the works but is unknown of how long a delay it'll have for now. With this case, I'm excited to check this out, as I really enjoyed the first edge of the series, and I don't think we'll really continue the appeal and momentum that provided, and appealing animation too, but I guess we'll see by the time this title drops sometime next year. But what do you make of these stories? Do you think McKenna Grace is a solid choice for the Scooby-Doo series, or would you prefer some new unknown stars? Is Kristen Bell a solid choice for Amy, or which actors do you hope to see portray the Hedgehog? Are you excited for a new animated Venom movie? Will this Carrie limited series be a success? And are you excited for the new Ninja Turtles movie, and will be released earlier again from this date? Let me know your thoughts down below. With all that regards, that's all the news that we have for this week.
She doesn't know.
And with that regards now, that ends episode 144 of Weird My Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed my ramblings for probably about 20 minutes or so it's much shorter this week. Now, let's give a quick few updates on what to expect in the channel. So, casebook reviews wise, I am still writing a few of them at the moment. I want to probably do maybe a couple at the same time, so I'll probably do Last of Us, maybe Has Been, and a couple other like movies and stuff, because I need to do a case of things. But other cases, do more snack size box office ones, do more variations of length and stuff. Might do some more close around the award season stuff, like any previous ones that I wanted to talk about from award season contenders, but I guess we'll look into it. Then in case of some gameplay stuff, I will upload the DK Bonanza video when I can in due time. I'm going to get to some other gameplay recordings again of like Mario Wonder, Star Wars Outlaws, Cyberpunk 2077, and a few other ones. I'm going to start some other games like Ventilate and stuff like that. I know Resident Evil Requiem is coming out next week, and hopefully in the case maybe to start streaming with that title. I'm kind of considering with a case where not just buy the standard game on its own, or pay the extra few money and get the collections edition on Switch 2 that comes with the free game, so technically I'm getting Requiem for cheaper. I might go with that one, maybe, I don't know. I'll splash a bit of cash. It's my birthday in a few weeks, so I'll fucking do. And in case of things then of long form stuff, so the case of stuff, the rewatch-a-thon's coming, the AI audience choice video is coming, the long form stuff, the horror most bored, the anticipated media stuff, more time lapses are all coming, all variation stuff. I'm going to work things out and, have them out hopefully in the next couple of days. I know this anticipated media is getting delayed longer and longer, but this is what happens when you're like procrastinating, you're going through some shit. But with that regards now, I'm going to end the episode there for now. So if you'd like to see here and want to see more from me more frequently, then simply like and subscribe. I upload to every single week. I know in case I keep mentioning a case, but I'm hoping to reach this goal of around 750 to 1,000 subs by the end of this year, so any support is greatly appreciated. Let me know your thoughts on everything discussed this week down below, from the new releases, trailers, and news stories. If you want to get yourself 10% off on Pure Crack, use my code Sam Harrison, which is all caps, all one word, down below in the link description, and get yourself some Pure Crack. I get a small bit of commission off the case as well, but it's a very beneficial drink that will keep you energized for heading into spring, you know, get that energy going for you. But with that regards now, that ends everything I have for this week. So as always, you all stay wonderful people. Have a great day every day, doing many great things and keeping you because no one else can do what you do, of course. And take care of yourself because mental health is very important. I've been your host, Sam, of course, and I shall see you all in the next episode. So take care, and I'll see you later.